Hi everyone, good morning. We're live on the Trade Decorator Festival. Welcome everybody to the session. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning, Paula.
I'm joined live by Pete Wilkinson. Pete's written a number of books for decorators and is co-owner in the Paint Tech Training Academy. I'm sure lots of you in this session know Pete, and if you don't, that's what he's all about. Now, Pete, do you want to tell everybody a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, all right then. So hi everyone. So I'm Pete. I've been a decorator all my life. I left school at 16, got a job at a local company doing all kinds of work. Then when I was 27, I was lucky enough to get a job teaching at my local college, which I did for 27 years. And then more recently, I left college to do sort of my own thing. So obviously we've got the Paint Tech Training Academy, so we deliver training for decorators. So mainly spray training, but we've started to expand, and we're doing wallpapering courses now. We're doing mural courses, and sort of rolling on sort of to the end of this year. We're looking to start offering apprenticeships. So it's been a really well-received thing, and decorators enjoy coming to the centres. They enjoy sort of finding out what's going on and learning some new skills. So I get quite a lot out of that. The book side of things, I only did that really just to something to give people when they've done the course, but that sort of like took over a little bit, which is a nice thing, and it's really good, and everybody seems to enjoy reading the book, so I enjoy writing them. So I think it's a win-win for everybody.
How many books have you written now, Pete?
Right, well, probably to keep it simple, I've got my 3 Fast and Flawless books. So I've got the Fast and Flawless, which is the airless spraying. I've got the pricing one, which is obviously about pricing, and that's the more successful book. Then I've got my systems one, which is about paint systems, talks about how you paint UPVC, talks about different systems for doing different jobs, not just spraying. People think it's a spraying book, but it's not. That is just a general decorating book. And then I've just brought this one out at Christmas, which is the Specialist Decorator, which is purely aimed at decorators. So there's a little bit about spraying in it, but it's mainly aimed at decorators. It's funny really, because I'm quite good at thinking up specialisms. I don't know why, but I decided to write the book, and I thought of about 50 different specialisms. And as I started writing the book, I mean, it is quite thick actually. I've only done 23, I think, out of the ones I thought of. I could write a second book on it. I don't think I will actually, because I'm going to do a sequel to the pricing book, which I'm going to bring out at Christmas, because it's funny really, because I had a lot to say about pricing, but I don't think people realise I said very little in that book. I don't know what to say, so as soon as people want to listen, I might as well do it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we've got a good number of people in the session with us live now, and we've also got quite a number of people watching live over on Facebook.
Okay.
If you are
people.
if you are watching live on Facebook and you'd like to come and get involved and ask Pete any questions, you're not too late to join us. There is a link there in the Facebook post that you can click on and come on over and join us on Crowdcast. And we will also be launching a competition at the end of the session here over on Crowdcast, where you can win one of Pete's latest books that he just mentioned, The Specialist Decorator. And we have got 3 to give away. So there you go. There's a book. And we will be doing that at the end of the session. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand over to Pete and let him take over with the session, and I'll see you all a little bit later. If you do have any questions, feel free to type it in the Ask a Question tab. If you can hit that, and then Pete can keep up with the questions, and we can come back to those at the end of the session, Pete.
Okay. I'll do a little bit of typing in between, but I can't multitask, so you just have to bear with me.
Well, we can answer the questions live at the end if you like.
Oh, good idea. Yeah, I'll do that. Right, good morning, everyone. Now, for the people that know me, you'll know that doing live videos, I'm well out of my comfort zone. It's not my thing at all. It might look like it is, but it isn't. So what I've done is I've set up at the front of the classroom, and then I can pretend I'm in front of a class, which is still out of my comfort zone actually, but it's not quite as bad. Now the last one, if you came to my last one, it was about pricing last year. I did that one at about 1 o'clock. And what happened is I basically didn't sleep, worried about it all morning till 1 o'clock, and then did the session. So when Paula asked me to do this session this time, I picked 9 o'clock in the morning so that I had less time to worry about it and I could get it out of the way and then I can get on with my day. So just in case you were wondering why I'm first thing in the morning. I'm not a morning person, but there you go. You just, this is it, here I am. So what I'm going to talk about today, and I know it ties in with my latest book, but that's not the reason I want to talk about it. Sort of, for the people that know me, I've sort of spent all my life working at a local college as a lecturer, so sort of supposedly cushy job, 9 to 5, turning up, just walking around and telling people to paint stuff. But I didn't really feel that we were doing the best for the industry. No, not a criticism of the college where I work. My college where I work were fantastic. We're actually one of the better ones in the country. I just feel that we just weren't doing as good as we could. So, and that's one of the reasons why when I sort of went part-time first from college, I set up back on my own, started spraying stuff. I sort of started getting my head back around the industry again, if you will. And it was a little bit of a shock for me because in my mind, I was in the painting decorating industry in 1985 and I just thought nothing had changed. And then when I went back on the tools again, it was a bit of a shock to me how much had changed. For the better, in fairness. So there's a lot more products out there. There's a lot more equipment out there. The equipment's more affordable. The equipment's better to use. We've got things like dustless sanders, which make sanding easy and good. And we've got better products. We've got better water-based products. There's too many products, to be quite honest, to choose from. So I sort of had a re-look at the industry. And when I first went back, sort of back on the tools, I did it in more or less exactly the same way as I did it in my early 20s. But I quite quickly realised that if I sort of wanted to make better money and I wanted to make a name for myself, if you will, I had to specialise and pick something sort of a little bit narrower to do all the time. And that's what I did. So I picked spraying because I used to love teaching spraying at college. I like to think I was good at it. I saw it was faster. I saw that you got a better finish. There were a few things to get your head around, but basically I just sort of thought this is definitely what I need to do now. I'm not getting any younger. I just need to crack on and specialise. And that's what I did. And I thought spraying was the answer, if you will, to like an enjoyable decorating business. And I sort of quite quickly realised that there were more to it than that. It wasn't just about the spraying. It was also about getting the pricing right. So I sort of thought about that and sort of got my head around it and got the pricing right. So obviously that's why I wrote the second book about pricing, because I would share with people what I'd sort of learned in my journey, if you will. And then I realised that actually it wasn't just about the spraying and just about the pricing. In actual fact, you could specialise in any area of decorating and be just as successful as I've been with the spraying, or even more so in some cases. And I know people that have specialised in other areas of decorating and they make more money than I do. And it's just because of the area of specialism they've chose. So then I sat down and I thought, right, I'll think about specialisms. I can see how many I can come up with. And if I can come up with like more than 20, I might write a book about it and just help people pick a specialism. So I sat down and I come up with 50. I had to stop myself. I'm a bit like that. My brain runs away with me. I can't stop it. So I got to 50. Wow, 50. Wow, there's definitely I can write a book with this. So I started writing the book and I decided, how many have I done? Let's have a look. I can't even remember how many I've done. I think I've done about 23. Yeah. 23. So I got to 23, and then it were getting to 100. Like, what? How many pages is it? Sorry about this. I should know this off the top of my head, shouldn't I? It's well rehearsed. I know that's why you like it. So it got to like 230 odd pages, 240 pages. That's quite thick for a book. It starts getting expensive to print, which means it's expensive for you to buy. So I thought, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to stop, leave it at 23, and then put it out there. So I had 23 specialisms. And while writing the book, I sort of chatted with people about it and chatted with other decorators and sort of put my point across. And I got a feel for what people thought about it and the whole thing. So that's what I'm going to chat about this morning. So I've waffled for 15 minutes. I'm good at that. I'm a teacher. So and what I want to talk about, basically, I'm going to write this on the whiteboard, 3 things. So hopefully you can see it clearly. I'll do it big. So number 1, oh yeah, that's clear. Reasons to specialise. Okay. Yes, look at that. Fantastic. Number 2, objections that people come up with. So this is what people say to me. They go, oh yeah, it's all right that Pete specialising, but what about this? What about that? And they have reasons why they don't. And the fair reasons, in fairness, they're valid. So I just want to discuss them, put them out there and tell you what I think. So I'm going to call them objections. And then finally, let's have a look. There we go. 5 steps to specialising. There you go. And my idea is, this is that's like a well-oiled machine, this. I'm going to talk for 15 minutes about each one. See, that's the hour. We'll see how that works out. Luckily, I might have questions coming back in the text, but if I'm doing this in class, I'm getting loads and loads of questions and it slows me down. So hopefully I won't get too much of that going on. So that'd be quite good. Okay, so first of all, reasons to specialise. And in my mind, there's 5 reasons. And the first reason is you can't be good at everything. Well, you can be good at everything, but sort of you've got to pick what you're going to be good at. So, for example, when I were at college, I used to teach painting, obviously, wallpapering, specialist graining and marbling. I used to teach spraying, obviously. So HVOP spraying, airless spraying. I used to teach about paints and products and all that kind of stuff. So in theory, I can do all aspects of the trade reasonably well. You don't have to be brilliant at it to teach it, in fairness, because you spend most of the time showing people what to do when they're doing it, and you're just sort of giving them a bit of advice. So I'm quite good at sort of getting other people to do it, but you know. So in theory, I could set up on my own as a decorator, and I could offer everything. So one week I might be doing a wallpapering job, and I've not done a wallpapering job for a while, so I'm a little bit clunky. It's like, oh, where's my tools? I've actually lost my papering tools. The last papering job, I couldn't find them. Anyway, I found them eventually. That's how often I wallpaper. So you find your tools, and then your paste table's all damp and coming apart, so you buy a new one. And then you sort of hope that the wallpaper's not going to be a nightmare, so you get to the job and it's not. Thank God for that. And then you're wallpapering, you're nervous as hell because they've spent bloody £150 a roll on this stuff, and you're just not slick. I mean, the customer might not notice, but you notice. It's like, I'm not enjoying this really. It's hard. So then at the end of that week, you finish your wallpapering, and then you're on a building site. So all of a sudden, you're into hard hats, gloves, boots, shit everywhere, freezing cold, no light, nothing dries. Oh my God, and it's like, get my head around this, right? And then week after, you've decided you're going to spray some UPVC windows. You've never done it before. You think, bloody hell, what do I do with this? You can see where I'm going with this. It's not an enjoyable way to live your life because you're constantly getting your head around stuff. You don't get slick at anything. You never get fast at anything. You're never really going to get anywhere. And you sort of think about your old firm, and your old firm where you used to work, they did everything. And you think, well, they did everything. They did. Yeah, but what they did is they had 4 guys wallpapering all the time. They had 2 guys spraying all the time. They had 8 guys that just worked on outsides all the time. They had 7 guys that worked on a building site. So they did specialise with the people that they had, but as a firm, they offered a wide range of work. But you set up on your own. There's only you. You're pricing, you're marketing, you're doing the work. You can try and do everything, but I think it's just, I just think it's draining on you as a person, and you're just feeling like you're always all over the shop. because you basically are. So you've got to decide, you've got to think, right, what do I enjoy doing? What am I good at? So you usually know, you'll talk to people and they'll say, I love papering and I hate spraying, or I love spraying and I hate papering, or I did a mural job and I really enjoyed it. I could do that all the time. Or I love working on building sites. I love bashing them out, get a great big roller. I love it. Brilliant. You sort of know what you like doing. And that's the thing to sort of decide that's what you're going to do. So that's the first reason. I'm going to try and fit this in on my little whiteboard display. You can't be good at everything. So you pick some. So I picked spraying, of course, as you all know. And at first, I was a bit clunky. I was like, oh, now then, how do I set the sprayer up? What do I do here? But because I was setting it up, cleaning it out every day, day in, day out, I got faster and better. And then I set 2 sprayers up. I got faster at that and slicker. And now I will spray any ceiling, any size. It doesn't faze me in the slightest. I can do it in my sleep. And that's because I do it all the time. Okay. Right. So that's the first reason. You'll get good at something that you do week in, week out, and you'll get more comfortable at it, and it'll be more enjoyable for you as a decorator. Okay, the next reason, and I'm going to write it on the board first this time. If you're a specialist, you will earn more money. It's as simple as that. It's the way the world works. Everybody sort of specialised. So to a certain extent, somebody said this to me. They said, I'm already a specialist. I'm a painter and decorator. Well, yeah, you are. You're right. You are. You're a specialist. But the more you specialise, the more money you can make. Because what happens is, and obviously I'll talk about this a little bit, how far to take it and all that. But what happens is, you start to become the only person that can do what you're offering because you've sort of specialised quite tightly. You're the one in your area. It's like, oh yeah, you want a staircase spraying, you want a staircase and door spraying. It's Pete Wilkinson in Preston. He's the one. He's the one that does it. He's the best. He does a great job. Bang. I shouldn't have said that because I might get work now and I don't want it. But anyway, but you become the one that is at the front of everybody's mind, and because of that, you've got no competition. So it's like, oh, I'll get 2 quotes for my staircase. Well, good luck with that. There's only me at the moment. So what that means is, it doesn't mean you can rip people off, but what it means is you can charge a little bit more than you would just as a normal decorator, without a doubt. And I've experienced that. I never really have any issues when I'm pricing for jobs. Nobody ever gives me any grief. And I do make more money because I've specialised. And it's not. And people turn around and they say, "Oh, well, it's because it's you, Pete," and it's not because it's me. It's because I've specialised. And the reason I know that is because I know other people that have done the same as me, and they make the same money as I do. So it isn't just me. It's specialisms that's making the more money. Okay, what am I doing for time? I'm doing all right. I'm doing good here. Right. And the other thing is, people are more willing to pay you if you're a specialist, so that people understand that a specialist charges more. So I mean, like a good example, obviously in the medical profession, you'll get a GP, you'll get just a general doctor that sort of treats everything, and then you'll get a plastic surgeon. And the GP might earn, I don't know what they earn these days, a lot, I think, 120 grand, but the plastic surgeon might earn 300 grand. And they're both doctors, basically, but one is specialised further, and people expect him to be more, she to be more expensive. So it's not just in decorating, it's in every area, and people sort of expect you to be more expensive. Okay, so the next reason why it's good to specialise you only need one set of gear. So if you do everything, you need all the tools for everything you do. But if you only do one thing, and that's one of the reasons why when I specialised in spraying, I decided to specialise in airless spraying, because there's lots of different spray equipment out there and they're all really expensive. So I thought, right, okay, and I'm tight. People that know me know I'm tight, and I thought, I'm not spending all that money on all that equipment. I'll specialise in airless spray equipment and airless spraying, and I'll just buy one, naively back then, I'll just buy one airless sprayer, and I bought one, and it was brand new, it were about 1,100 quid, a little Wagner one, beautiful little machine it was. And that's what I did. I bought that machine, and I bought obviously all the bits and bobs that go with it, and I got my bag with all the stuff in it, all set out nice, because that's what I'm like. And I got everything I needed to do airless spraying. I got all the tips and everything, and that were it. And I didn't need anything else. So that when I was loading my pan up to go to a job, I put stuff in that I need for the spraying. I had all the best stuff because I could afford it, because I was only buying one set. I weren't forgetting stuff because I knew that that's all I were doing. And then I went to the job, and it's easy. I just got one set of gear. So it is an advantage of specialising. I mean, what tends to happen over time is, especially, well, what's happened to me is you sort of expand within your specialism. So you start getting, I'll get an HVLP spray now after a while. But because you're making more money as a specialist, you can afford to do that. So you can, so you do. And it's just it's quite a nice place to be. But I do think the main thing is you're not spending loads of money on loads of different kit. I mean, I talk to people that are sort of like, they do lots of different things, and they've had to shell out quite a lot of money for each set of things that they do. And these days, there's generally lots of equipment with lots of things that you do. So, like, I can't think of an example, but there is. So, okay. So that's the third reason. Okay, the next reason is number 4. If I could squeeze that in. 4, let's have a look. So D and E, I'll squeeze them in. Okay. Right, I'm going to run these two together because they're very, very similar. Okay, so I don't know if you can read that, it's terrible. Okay, so the last two, your customers are more likely to remember you if you're a specialist. So I'm going to use a different example now because people are probably fed up of hearing me talk about spraying. So let's say, for example, you specialise in murals. So you're a mural specialist, you're a mural installer. So you don't even call yourself a painter decorator. You're calling yourself a mural installer. And what you're specialising in is installing murals. So I personally will probably go more commercial, but there's both markets. You could do both markets. Okay, now then, there's not a great deal of people out there that are specialising in that. There might be some that do it. I'm a decorator and I'll do a mural for you if you like. But if you specialised in it, people are more likely to think about you if they want a mural doing. So they'll say, oh yeah, I want a mural doing. Let's Google it. Oh yeah, this guy specialises. That's all he does. Right, he's the one. Let's get a price. And then you'll do it, and obviously you'll do a really good job because you're slick at it, because you do it all the time. You'll have all the right equipment, so any towers that you need for stairs and things like that, you'll have that because you're focusing on that kind of thing. And you'll be fast at it, and you'll do a really good job. And the customer will remember you because it's easier to remember something that specialises in something than someone that does everything. And you'll notice it yourself. So if you're chatting to someone and you say, so what do you do? And it's like, well, I do a bit of everything really. So I'll fix your decking. I'll power wash your fences if you want to do a bit of gardening. If you need any bits of skirting fitting in your house, I'll do that. Now 3 weeks later, it'd be like, that guy you spoke to at party, what does he do for a living? And you've like, not got a clue. I can't remember. It's something about decking, I think he said. I'm not too sure. Okay, so rerun the conversation. you're talking to someone and they say, "What do you do, Pete?" "Well, I'm a mural installer." "Wow, I've never heard that before." "Yeah, what I do, I install specialist backing to any image. I can print it up any size, no joints, put it on your wall. Look, I'll show you some pictures on my phone. The jobs I've done." "Wow, no, oh my God, that's amazing. I didn't even know you could do that. That's fantastic. Wow." Right, 3 weeks later, what did Pete do? He did them mural things. It was brilliant. Oh my God, I'll never forget that. So you're more memorable because people can slot it in their mind. It's something specific, it's something visual, it's something that you'll remember you by. So it makes it easier for customers to remember you. And then when you do your marketing, rather than having a big long advert, so John Mears has talked about this in his advertising book, and it got me thinking, and he's right. He said, if you do an advert, especially a print advert, which people don't sort of use these days, but there's still value in print adverts. You pay for so much per word. So if you do everything, that's a lot of words. But if you only do one thing, it's a lot easier to do a focused advert, which people look at it and they think, yeah, he's the guy we want. It's focused. It means something to people. So when you do your marketing, you can be more focused with your approach. It makes it easier to get your name out there as a specialist. Okay, so them are the reasons why I think it's a good idea to specialise. So what I'm going to talk about now is the next one. This is what you're all thinking now. You're all thinking, yeah, right, Pete. Yeah. What about this, though? And what about that? And it's all right saying all this, but you've got things in your mind. You've got objections. Now, if you've got any objections that I don't come up with, just put them in the message box because I'd be interested to know what people's objections are. Okay, now I've got 4 objections. I wanted 5 because I wanted 5 reasons to specialise, 5 objections and 5 steps to doing it, but I couldn't come up with 5. Struggled a little bit when I was doing my preparation. Maybe I should have spent more than 2 minutes preparing, but there you go. So let's have a look at our 5 objections. So the first one, and this is potentially valid, and this is what most people worry about. If I just specialise in one thing, there's not going to be enough work. Okay, there's not going to be enough work out there. I've got to take all the different jobs that come to me. Otherwise, if I'm not careful, there's not going to be enough work to keep me busy. So I'll write that on the board. I'm going to struggle when I get down here because I've only got this bit of space. But anyway, and to a certain extent, I understand that. So I mean, when I sort of first set up with the airless spray, I was an airless spraying specialist. That's what I called myself. Now it's a bit different these days. People actually know what that is, but back then it's people like, what's that? What are you? What do you do actually? What is this? So I'm thinking, oh my God, is this? No, I'm never going to get any work here. But I did. I started getting little jobs that were spraying jobs. They'd be like, oh, I've just got a little extension on my house. Could you spray that? And I'd say, yeah, I'd spray it. And then I'd do it. And then they'd all talk about it. Oh my God, this guy come in and he sprayed all the woodwork. Amazing. So then I get a phone call. So, and what started to happen, and it took a while, it took about sort of 2-3 years, bigger and bigger and better jobs come along. And you can do this, can't you? This is what you're doing. Yeah, it is. Yeah, bigger and bigger and better and easier and better. And eventually it got to the stage quite quickly. So I went from probably doing like hardly any spray jobs to actually turning work away to a point where I'd got 10 times more work than I could ever handle. And that's what happened. That was my experience. So I do understand the worrying about not getting enough work. The tighter you specialise as well, the sort of bigger area you've got to look to get your work from. So if you were let's say mural installer, that's a good example. You probably need to be national for that, so that you're installing murals all over the country. You're travelling quite a bit, and that's what you do. I think eventually, if you've got mainstream, you can narrow your area down smaller, but you'd have to be national. So you might decide, well, I'm going to do mural installer, but I'm also going to do specialist wallpapering as well. So you can narrow that area down then, probably to like the northwest for me, so that you're working all around this area, and there will be enough working. So you broaden your specialism slightly to narrow the area of work that there is that much work for. So yeah, it's sort of a valid objection, if you will, but in time, and you've got to sort of trust the process a little bit. And what you can do is, and what I did is, I stayed at college part time, so I'm getting a wage from college part time. Now, obviously, I don't advertise. Well, maybe I should, but anyway, I don't talk about that. I just talk about my business that's spraying, and then slowly, I had 3 days available to work. I slowly filled that 3 days, and then it went to 4, and then I packed in college, and then it went to 5, and I sort of grew that specialism over time. So I sort of got over the not enough work thing, which in fairness, when I first started off, nobody knew what it was. There wasn't, to the point where I had so much I couldn't handle it all. So that's the first objection. Okay, I'm hoping everybody's out there, don't fall asleep. I'm guessing what a lot of guys do, and this is what I would do, is you're not watching me. Probably a good idea. You're just listening, and you're wallpapering, or you're painting a ceiling, or whatever. You've just switched radio off. Radio 2, perhaps. I don't really know on the crowd I've got. And you're just listening to me. So that's good if that's the case. Just every so often, just have a little look at the work I've done on the whiteboard, because I feel like I put effort in there. Okay, the next objection. This is a good one. This is a good one. So the next objection. But I've got all these skills though. I can cut in really well. I'm not going to start using tape. I can wallpaper. I'm amazing at wallpapering. I can marble a kitchen door. I can do this. I can do that. Yeah, we know you can. Great, no problem. And people have got a problem with that. It's like I'm a skill. I've got all these skills that I need to sort of show off to the world. And again, I can understand that. I mean, I served my time as a sign writer. I can sign write. And I was actually quite good at it. I'm probably really crap now, but I was quite good at it. But do you know what? I've not sign written for, God, when was the last time I did a sign? I don't know, 20 years. I've not sign written for 20 years. And the reason for that is I've decided that I can't do everything. And that's one of the things. I've got the skill, but I'm not using it. And I've just made that decision. And it tickles me sometimes because people will say to me, oh yeah, you're not a proper decorator, you are. You just like, you're mass top at skirtings, don't you? So you can't cut in. It's like, I can sign write, so I can cut in. The reason I tape top at skirts is because it makes me a lot of money. And that's why I'm working. So you know what I mean? I just get over the skill thing. If you really want to use all your skills you've got, then maybe, I don't know, do a bit of wallpapering at home at the weekend or something. But, you know, I think you just need to sort of move away from this idea that there's some kind of status in having lots and lots of skills, because I'm not really sure that there is. I think there's more status in you're the best paper hanger in the area than I can do everything. I really do. But I can understand it, because you've invested a lot of time getting good at all these skills, and you sort of want to get that time back. I mean, another good example, which just popped in my head. I don't really know whether I should use this example or not anyway, but I've actually got my motorbike license. So I decided in my younger years that I wanted a motorbike, and, you know, great, be cool that. And I got a 125, I did my CBT, and I rode it for a couple of years. Amazingly, I didn't kill myself because I'm really dozy. But anyway, and then I did my proper test. So I've actually got a motorbike license, but I sold my 125, and then I never bought another motorbike, and I never have. And at the back of my mind, it's like, I've got this skill that I should be using. But obviously, Tracy quite wisely says, listen, Pete, you'll kill yourself if you get a motorbike. And she's sort of right. I feel like going, oh, no, I'm the bloke. I'm getting one. So, you know, suit yourself. But at the back of my mind, she's like, Pete, she's right. You don't want to kill yourself. It's not good. So I've got this skill that I'm not using, and I sort of feel like I should, and I probably never will. But I'm trying to get over it. So there you go. I know how you feel. I feel your pain. Right, next one. This is a good one. And again, I sort of understand the argument, but having experience specialising, it's not how it pans out. So the next one is, I'll get bored. Thing is, Pete, if I were just spraying out student apartments all the time, I get bored. I like doing a bit of wallpapering one day, working on outside, doing a bit of this, doing a bit of that. And I can sort of understand that. I can see the boredom thing. And I think it's a valid objection, to be quite honest. I think it is valid. So I think if you're in a position where you sort of don't need the money and you don't really need the work and you're not that bothered and you want an interesting life, I think, yeah, valid. Do a range of stuff at every credit. But I think if you're like most of us and you're doing it to make money because you need to pay the mortgage, then I would say you need to decide whether you want to be bored or rich. Simple as that. Do you want loads of money? Or do you just not want to, you know? Because unfortunately, anybody that specialises in anything will get a little bit bored at times with it. So if you're a solicitor or you're a surgeon and you do nose jobs, I bet they get bored. It'd be like, I've got another nose job to do. I'm sick of it. I've done hundreds of them. I mean, I get 15 grand a nose, like, but really, you know, I could do something different, really. I might do like ear jobs or something like that, just for a change. So I can understand it, but really, that's not why we're working. We're working for the money. So I think you need to put the boredom thing aside. But another thing that I found, so theoretically, me spraying out apartments day in, day out should get boring. But it actually doesn't, because what happens is, some days I'm spraying in a big posh house, I'm just doing all the woodwork. And some days I'm spraying windows, and some days I might be spraying a kitchen. So I do actually get variety in the niche that I've picked. Enough variety to keep me interested, you know. And I mean, and I do other things, of course. I write about it and I teach people it and go on site and help people out. So I sort of try and keep myself interested within my specialism, and I've managed to do that. And I still love what I'm doing, and I still find it enjoyable. And people comment on it. They say, "Bloody hell, Pete, you love this still, don't you?" And I say, "Yeah, I do. I'm lucky that I found something I really enjoy." So I accept the boredom thing, but I think if you really do enjoy your niche and you can try and vary it a little bit, and you're making more money, I think it can. It's not necessarily a valid objection. Right, last one, because I've only got 4 for this. Remember? Oh yeah, this is a good one as well. Another good one. So the last one is, well, my customers want me to do everything. So I do quite a bit of work for Mrs. Jones, and she wants me to clean her gutters out, paint her outside. She wants me to emulsion her bedrooms out. She wants me to wallpaper her lounge. She wants me to do everything. Then my customers want me to do everything. So I'll write that on the board while you think about it. So you're all thinking, how's he going to get out of this one then? My customers want everything. Can't get out of that, can you? My customers want everything. What do you do? It might be a trick objection that I've got no answer to. It's possible. Anyway, it isn't. Right, your current customers want you to do everything. Now, I'm not suggesting you've been off all your customers. Obviously not. It's a transition period. I've still got customers now that I wallpaper for. All right, confession. Because I like them. And they're really good to work with and they pay me and stuff. But I don't shout about it. It's a secret. So now if I get a new customer, so what happens is when you specialise, you start attracting new customers, okay, in your specialism. So what you'll start doing then is you'll start, what can I say politely? You'll just keep your old customers that you like, and your old customers that are hard work, you might not have time to do work for them. Let's say that. You pass it on to your decorator mates. You say, "Oh yeah, Mrs. Jones, I'm too busy spraying, so can you go and wallpaper that?" So you bin them off. And what you'll slowly do, and it takes time, it's not going to happen in 3 weeks, it'll take me maybe 3, 4, 5 years even. You'll build up a set of customers that want your specialism. Different customers that are willing to pay, they want your specialism, and they don't know that you can wallpaper. I mean, you just keep it secret. Just don't, it's hammer spraying. Can you wallpaper? No, I can't. Well, I can, but I'm not so good at it. You know, I say that. All right, okay, no problem. And I say, I know somebody that is really good at wallpaper. wallpaper, and I'll recommend him, and then he can do the work. So we're both happy then, because he specialises in that, I specialise in this. Happy days. The customer's happy because he's getting a specialist to come in and do that bit of work. So even so that's what happens. You change your customers. Now, if you think about it, I've got some customers. I mean, I've met customers that they do want to, and they'll say things like, "Oh, Pete, you couldn't replace one at Windows, could you?" And I'm like, "Well, no, not really. I don't do that." So they want a handyman, really. They want someone that they can just say, "Do this, do that, do the other," but they don't pay a lot of money. They'll say, "Oh, yeah, I'll pay 80 quid a day if you just fix that window." And that's what some customers, that's what they want. They want you to do everything, but it's no good for you. So their customers are no good for you. So if that is your business at the moment, I'm like, again, it's not a criticism. It's just understand that maybe that's not necessarily your customers who are getting you to do everything is not necessarily the best for you. So again, it is a valid objection, and it sometimes feels like customers want you to do everything, but it's not our job just to please everybody. It's our job to build a successful business that makes good money that we enjoy doing. That's our goal. And it's not a selfish goal, because by doing that, we give good service to all our customers that we currently work with. Okay, so them are my 4 objections. I'm just conscious of time. So I've got like 15 minutes left. So what I'm going to look at now, I'll just take my screen down a little. No, that's all right. That's a lot. I've got a little bit of space left for the 5 steps. I should have put it all a little bit higher, but never mind. Right, so what are the 5 steps to specialising? Now, what I should really do at this point, I should say, if you want to know the 5 steps, I should have run it to wire and then said, if you want to know the 5 steps to specialising, you need to buy my book. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'll actually tell you the 5 steps. So the first step is sort of obvious. Oh my God, how can I make this? A. First, obviously, the first step is you need to choose a specialism. So you need to think, what do you want to specialise in? And it sounds really easy, because obviously I've been throwing some examples out there. But I've just been throwing 3 or 4 examples out there. There's 23 that I thought of. So I'm going to tell you some. So I can't remember them. I should be able to, shouldn't I? So let's give you some. Okay. I'll give you my favourite. Well, I'll give you 4. So one of my favourite ones, because I'm into boats, is boats, painting boats. Okay. So you could specialise as a boat painter. Now, there's a couple of things about this. It's a brilliant specialism because there's not actually that many people doing it. You don't necessarily have to spray, although a lot of boats are sprayed. Boat people generally are prepared to pay 2, 3, 4,000 quid to get the boats painted. Boat people generally don't paint their own boats because it looks shit, so they want it professional looking. So there's a real market there. A lot of marinas and boatyards have actually got a market for boats to be painted, but they've not got anybody to do it. So, it's a brilliant niche that you could set up in. Now, I love boats. I should be doing that. That should be my niche. But I've obviously gone down a different road, and I'm quite happy with the road I've gone down. But that's a niche that sat there in the back of my mind that I've always fancied doing, because I love boats. You get a brilliant finish. It's just painting. You get specialist paints. So there you go. So that's one example of a specialism that you could choose. So another example of a specialism that 1 or 2 people are looking into now is spray plastering. So that's another example of a specialism, relatively new. And it's great for decorators because spray plaster is very much like fillers that we use. It's a fairly easy process. If you've used a spray before, it's relatively good money. It's an expanding market. There's plenty of work about. So that's another example of a specialism you could pick. Let's have a look for another one. I shouldn't be struggling, should I? There's loads in here. Another one, right, last one this, because I could go on and on and on. Another one is decorative finishes. So I think I went through the 90s where decorative stuff was all the rage. So that's things like stenciling and all that kind of stuff, and like colour washing and all that. Now I think it's making a comeback. Decorative stuff's making a comeback, and I see more and more examples of it on social media. More and more people are getting it done. We did a big job in Manchester, 2 big massive tower blocks, and the entrance area, they basically made MDF look like old copper, and that's what they do. So it's basically a decorative technique, and they paid thousands and thousands of pounds to have that done by a specialist company that did it. So that's another. There's loads and loads of specialisms out there. Loads. Like I say, I come up with 50 just in one sitting. It's just a case of getting, and that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book, in fairness. I just thought you can get ideas, and you might not like any of my ideas, but it might give you an idea. You might think, hang on a minute, yeah, that's a bit rubbish, but this would be good. So that's the first step. Choose your specialism. I'm not going to pretend. That's great. Okay, the next step. Now, you're going to say, well, you would say that, Pete. Well, I'm sorry, but yeah, I would. But I would say it anyway. So the next step, bear with me. You need to get trained up. You need to learn how to do that skill really well. So I'm going to use an example of a course that we don't offer, just to try and be a bit neutral and a bit less salesy. Repair care. So obviously repair care is a system where you basically you mix 2 resins together, and it's for repairing exterior windows where there's rot. Now it's a nice little specialism, is that, because you can charge good money for it. It's saving people money because they don't have to get a joiner in to do all, to repair the wood. But to do it, really, you need to do a course with repair care to get your head around it. They'll give you all the sort of ins and outs of it, and then you really do know what you're doing. And the other thing is, you can say to customers, I'm trained in this. I've been trained. So, or timber build. Is it? Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, that was just one example. There's a lot. I could give a million examples of stuff that you need to train for, obviously. And I mean, I get people, just as a side note, this just popped into my head. I mean, we do spraying courses, as you know, and I'll get people come on our early spraying course, and they've been spraying for 15 years. So they'll say to me, I've been spraying 15 years, early spraying. So obviously, in the early days, that used to scare me a little bit. You think, oh my God, this guy's going to know more than me. But do you know what? They never did. They did the course, and at the end of the course, they always said, oh my God, I've learned so much. I didn't know about that. I didn't know you could do this. I didn't realize I was doing that wrong. And so even someone that's experienced in something, you do a training course, and it opens your mind and it opens your eyes, and it just gets you slicker. So I would say do a course in whatever you decide to specialize in. So I work with Paul, who does the one-piece murals, and he works with what's called architectural films. And what architectural films are, they're basically very expensive sticky back plastic. Now he went abroad to do the training. He went, I think Belgium, because they didn't do it in this country. But the main thing is he got the training because he wanted to understand the product, he wanted to understand the system, and he wanted to be able to say to people when he were pricing for work, I'm trained in this. I really think it's important. I think as a trade, if we want to lift our status as a trade, and I think we're doing it, and I think we're doing really well, I think we need to be good at what we do. And I think to be good at what we do, we need to get some input and we need to get some training. Okay, so I've said my training bit now. So next thing is, how are we doing for time? We're doing great. Okay, you need to get a good company name. Now then, you might be, right, I'll use myself as an example. So obviously when I set up and I call myself Pete Wilkinson Decorators. There you go, that's what everybody does, isn't it? So that's what I did, Pete Wilkinson Decorators, great. It doesn't really tell people anything. It doesn't, I'm a decorator, that's what it tells them. But if you're specialising, so let's say, what's a good example? I'm doing boats. Okay, let's just see. I come up with fancy names for each specialism. Let's see what I said about boats. Bear with me. It's funny, isn't it? I'm looking up information in my own book. It should be in my head written, shouldn't it? But nothing's in my head. Okay. Great. So if I were going to set up painting boats, I might call my business the Boat Painting Company. Now, all right, I know it's a bit lame, but guess what? Everybody knows what I do. There's no explanation needed. They see my van, the Boat Painting Company, and my website, and my phone number. They know what I do. I'm a boat painting. I do boat painting, that's it. And I think sometimes we forget that. We need to make it easy for customers by telling them what we do in our company name. So it's really simple. And I think a lot of companies do this. I think we've gone away from, like, let's call ourselves Google. So picking a stupid name, but you get so big that everybody knows what you do. We can't do that. We've got to pick a name where people know from the name what you do. So pick a good company name. Okay, last two. You need to retarget your marketing. So I've already talked about that. Marketing more focused. So it's one of the steps. So you're right. You decide what your specialising is. You get good at it. You get a good company name. Then you retarget your marketing. So you've got your name, Boat Painting Company. You get a little logo of a boat being painted. I don't know. And you set up a Facebook page, the Boat Painting Company. You get a website, the Boat Painting Company. You start having some paid ads, and you start putting marketing in your market, your niche. It's specific and it's like laser sharp, and that's what you start doing. And what I found is with a lot of marketing, it's a long game. So you can't just. I mean, I'll give an example from my own sort of world again. Is I've got a YouTube channel. I'm not promoting my YouTube channel because I never do anything with it, and I should. But anyway, and some of the videos on there now. When I first put videos on there, I'm like sat at home, refreshing screen. Oh, I've had one view. Let's have a look. Oh, I've still got one view. And a couple of days later, I'll have a look. Got 3 views now. But that's not how it works. I look on now, and some of my videos have had 10,000 views, which is just unbelievable. But it's been sat there for 4 years, slowly just marketing away in the background. And I think a lot of things just take time, and I think sometimes we don't give it time, and we expect instant results, and that's just not how the world works. So you need to retarget your marketing, keep it specific, keep putting it out there, chipping away at it, get good at the marketing. I think as decorators, and myself included here, 100%, I am so weak at marketing. And even though I don't enjoy doing this kind of thing, I enjoy talking to people and everything. It is sort of part of marketing, and I think you have to do it. You've got to get out your comfort zone and just put yourself out there and do the best you can, kind of thing, which is what here I am, what I'm doing. Okay, last thing. And this is the tricky one, and this is hard to do. The last one, and it's the one I'm going to end on, you need to start turning down work that's not in your niche. This is hard, and I know because I've done it myself. So people will ring me up and they'll say, Pete, can you come and redecorate my lounge? So I'll say, yeah, no problem. And I'll go down, have a look. Beautiful house. Oh, yeah. And while I'm there, they'll say, oh, Pete, could you wallpaper our feature wall for us? Now, I could, you see. That's the thing. We've had a quote to put 4 rolls on, and they've quoted us £450. So if you could do it for 400, we'd pay you. Oh my God, this is so tempting. I could do it. It'd be 400 quid. God. But you've got to try and say no. You've got to try and say no. You've got to try and say no. I can get the work done. I know someone that's really good. They can do it, and they would do it for 400. You'd make a phone call, get them in, so that they then know you as the specialist of what you said you're going to do. And when they recommend you, and this is so important, they'll say, we got this guy in to redecorate my lounge. He was absolutely brilliant at what he did. He sprayed all the woodwork. It was unbelievable. But he doesn't do wallpaper. He has a specialist that he uses for that. So people then know that you really are a specialist. It's not just a marketing ploy. It's actually something that you really do. And it's so difficult. It really is. And I've been there. So I've said yes. And then afterwards kick myself. Well, I'm struggling with wallpaper. And I think, why did I say yes to this? And it's so difficult. You just got to get your head around it. Turning work away. Okay, so we're 4 minutes to go. And I've said what I want to say. It's all there. I don't know whether it's readable or not. I hope people have enjoyed it. And that's it, really. Over to you, Paula, if you're there.
I am. I'm here. I'm just coming back on the screen. I've not left you. Hi, everyone. That was a great session, Pete. Really informative. A lot of useful information there to help people down that route to specialising. We've got some nice comments in the comments as we've gone along. Mark Smith said the system book was a great read. Tom South has said he's reading the systems book at the moment and it's good.
All right.
What else have we got? Damien Creedon says every day is the school day. Brian Dennett said the hardest thing in business is to say no.
That's so true. That is so true.
Tom South says very good, Pete. Thanks. Great session, Pete. So yeah, some lovely comments there. Really informative. Thanks, Pete. Superb as always from Mark Rigby.
All right,
Justin says, great advice, Pete. Really appreciated it. I've got a comment here over on Facebook. Stephanie Green says, great book, Pete. The reason why I've chosen to eventually specialise in kitchens is that it's something I'm familiar with and I enjoy doing. I can't wait for the day that I only do kitchens and only worry about one set of kit in the van.
That's exactly right. Got it.
Sounds like she's well on the way. If there's any questions that you've got for Pete, if you want to type those in, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to launch our competition. We've got a competition in the session. I'm going to pop up a button here to enter the competition. All you need to do is click on there, enter your details, and you'll be put in a draw to win one of Pete's new books, The Specialist Decorator. We've got 3, haven't we, Pete, to give away?
Yeah.
3. There we go. So get entering. And we have still got lots of sessions right through until the end of this week. We're live until the 26th, finish it on Friday night. I'll put a link in so that if you've not registered for all the sessions, you can do. If there's anything, Pete, you want to put any links when you finish to help people, feel free to put links in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Andy says, if you give leads to your friends for the work you don't want, you'll get the same back, hopefully.
That's exactly what happens.
Great point.
Spot on that, Andy. And it's something you don't think about, but it's so nice. So yeah, you're spot on. That's what happens. And I've found it comes back more than you give out. And I don't know why that is, but I'll give 1 wallpapering job out and I'll get 3 spraying jobs back. There you go. Great.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've got a question from Damien Creedon. He says, since specialising, do you find that your geographic work area has increased massively, or has it enabled you to stay relatively local?
Right, well, this is interesting for me because it's actually enabled me to stay more local. So I travel less now, today, than I did 2 years ago. So as I've specialised and more people get to know me, so what happened to me is I got more and more work. So it got to the stage where I had literally, I know it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but I probably had 10 times more work than I could handle. So what I did, I narrowed my geographical area so that I just had work I could handle again. So it's got to the stage now where I probably travel now for jobs, probably 20-mile radius now. And that's just a decision I've made. So it's actually got the opposite to what you'd expect.
That's brilliant because it gives you a much better work-life balance, doesn't it? If you're not having to drive here, there and everywhere to do the job.
And that's part of what it's all about. I think we forget that sometimes.
Yeah.
No, that's what it's about.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our questions. If you are over on Facebook still listening to Pete and myself, you can click on the link and come and enter the competition. Feel free to come and enter the competition. Thanks, Pete. Brilliant session. Oh, Justin says the boat painting specialist was a light bulb moment as live near loads of marinas. Oh, he lives near loads of marinas. Sorry. Any advice?
Right. Okay. So yeah, I have got some advice. So what you need to be, so if you're a boat painter in a marina, generally they will want a slice of the business because it's you're using their marina, that's normal, that's acceptable. So what you need to do, you need to approach the marina. I mean, it'd be great if you had a couple of boat jobs that you could show them pictures of. Find out whether they have someone already, because they might have someone already. If they do have someone already, it might be worth approaching them and offering to work with them and help them out if they're on holiday and stuff like that, so they get to know you. If they don't have someone, then you could offer the service and say, look, I do this for a living, I'm really good at it. Do you mind if I do a boat? I understand that you'll want a commission for me using the marina's facilities. And that's the way to do it. You've got to be very sort of quite humble with the boat. Boat people are very... you've got to build the trust, but once you've got the trust, you've got them, basically. And it's the same with the marina's owners. You couldn't just waltz in and start throwing your weight about. You've got to be softly, have a chat with them, offer it, see if there's already somebody there. Obviously, if there is, don't step on their toes, talk to them, find out how much work there is. Are they really busy? Do they need a lift? You know, just gently use your noggin. But once you got into a marina, I mean, I know at my boatyard, where my boat is, they basically they paint the bottoms and the tops. So the bottom of a boat, they'll sandblast it and they'll spray it in 2-pack. And for that, they charge $2,000. And they easily do it in 2 half days. And they've got a constant stream. They've got more than they can handle. They turn jobs away. So it's a really nice little niche to get into if you can. It's good money. It's enjoyable. They're great people to work with. Yeah, it's a good niche, definitely.
Brilliant, Pete. Sounds like a good opportunity for you, Justin, if you're right near the marina. So I think that brings us to the end of the session, Pete. Thanks for your time this morning. Yeah. It's been great having you on the show again.
Yeah,
and I'll see you again soon, hopefully.
Okay, see you soon. See everybody. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Bye-bye.